Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of the Rising Tide Leadership Podcast, created in partnership with ChurchHub AI, the tool that is built to help pastors lead with clarity, margin, and freedom. Over the past few weeks, we've talked about the hidden way to pastoring, the journey from calling to fatigue, and the unchecked exhaustion that can lead to burnout. Last week, we started turning the corner, talking about how pastors can begin to redeem their time and lead from a place of health instead of just hurry. So this week, we are going to dive into the next step of the journey, what we're calling leading from margin, building rhythms that last. And of course, with me as always is the creator of ChurchHub AI and a good buddy of mine, Mr. Rick Bulman. Rick, what's up?
Hey, how's it going, Mo?
Man, I'm doing really good. I'm excited about today and the conversation that actually we had just before this. Maybe we can do some behind the scenes kind of stuff for our audience in the near future. Not sure if they want to hear all we're talking about, but
Let them
it is
look
some
behind
good
the
stuff.
curtain.
Absolutely, yeah. So, Rick, last week we talked about time management and margin, and so why do you think building healthy rhythms is the next step after that?
Great question. Time management is about control, but rhythm is about flow. It kind of rhymes. But in other words, it's the difference between living by your calendar, being, organized, and living from a state of peace. So for pastors, it's not enough to manage your week. You have to design your week. If you don't intentionally create rhythms like time for rest or time with your family or renewal and focus time, the urgent is going to eat the eternal every time. So, I always look at it like this, and I've seen it a million times. Most pastors don't burn out because they're doing bad things. They burn out because they're doing too many good things without rest in between.
Yeah. So when you talk about rhythm,
Yeah.
what does that practically look like for a pastor's week?
If I was sitting with you or a pastor talking about building healthy rhythms, I'd always start with what I call big rocks. And big rocks, those are the things that matter most. What matters most? Okay, well, Sabbath, family time, your sermon prep, and obviously time with the Lord. So I would tell them, put those in your calendar first. Let everything else around them just build around those things. From there, I would encourage you to create intentional focus blocks, time set aside for creativity, ministry, mentoring your team, or just even simply dreaming with the Lord. And then be intentional about scheduling times of renewals, moments to unplug, rest, and let your soul breathe. That would be the pastor's rhythm, a week that is really proactive instead of reactive. And so, honestly, and leverage tools too. As I'm thinking about this, as I'm talking with you, tools like ChurchHub AI, can be a huge help in protecting that rhythm. They keep you from getting buried in the details by organizing communication, creating volunteer materials, even generating curriculum, training outlines, all of those things that could be offloaded or done at a fraction of the time so you can focus more on people instead of paperwork. So that's how I see it.
So let's talk a little bit about margin. For those who are just joining us for the first time, what is margin and what do you think happens when pastors don't plan margin first?
I've learned this one the hard way, and it falls in line with my childhood. My dad's like, you just learned the hard way. And I'm like, I know, it's part of who I am. But I learned the hard way. And so when you don't, for me, when I didn't plan margin first, I end up paying for it later. So, something is always going to suffer when we don't plan our margin first. Your family's going to suffer. Your health is going to suffer. Your creativity, your sermons. When we fill every hour with ministry tasks, we leave no space for ministry moments. At first, the church might still be growing, but behind the scenes, behind the curtain, your soul is shrinking. So when I would plan rest and recovery first, I realized those aren't actual wasted hours. I think of them as holy hours. And that's where clarity and creativity and compassion, it all comes back into the ministry. So if you don't schedule, Mo, you might want to write this one down. I heard this a long time ago. If you don't schedule your Sabbath, burnout will schedule it for you. And it's true.
Wow. I love that. Rick, how can pastors create rhythms that actually last? Because I think we all try to get there and
Mhm.
then we try for a little bit and then we get back to, on the way to burnout. So, how do we do that? Make it last instead of just having the good intentions and then all of a sudden it fades away in 2 weeks.
Yeah, you mean kinda like when we do diets and stuff, that whole thing going back to the gym? Yeah, we've all done that.
100%.
Yeah, yeah, you tell yourself, this week I'm gonna
This is
slow
the
down."
one
Yeah,
starting
yeah.
Monday.
That's it. Yeah, and then on Tuesday, you're drowning again, so I would say the difference between good intentions and lasting rhythms have to do with these 2 words, repeatable and protected. Repeatable means it happens predictably. The Sabbath every Friday or family dinner every Wednesday. Protected means it's a non-negotiable. You guard it the same way you guard your pulpit time. Now, how many of you know pastors guard their pulpit time? They're very good at that. So it's not about intensity. It's really about consistency.
So, let's get practical.
Yeah.
What can a pastor do to structure the week around these kind of rhythms? Give me a for instance.
Yeah. If I was sitting down with you to map out a potential new rhythm, and let's take a week, Monday through Sunday. Okay, let's just get real practical. I would say as a pastor, and if you're a youth pastor and you have youth group on Wednesday, then your Monday in this example would be probably Thursday or something. So Monday for a pastor might look like recovery and reflection. Review Sunday because it's fresh in your mind. Pray through it. What went right, what didn't, just kind of process that. Tuesday and Wednesday, make that more about your deep work. Now it's sermon prep, creative focus, team planning. I would say Thursday would be more like meetings, collaboration, leadership development, stuff like that. Friday, rest. This is your Sabbath, and I mean unplug completely. Saturday, light prep because you've done all the hard work during the week. And I would make Saturday light prep and family time. And then Sunday, that's your ministry day. You're all in, fully present. And again, every pastor's week's going to look different, but the key is that your energy drives your schedule, not the other way around. I would say work in alignment with natural rhythm, your natural rhythm. If your best hours are in the morning, guard those for your most important work. I had my mentor, he used to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning and just from 4 to like 10, he would get so much done. He was so productive. He'd even go home, take a nap, come back and do the rest of the day. So it's just work in your strengths, know yourself. And Mo, I think we just need to keep this in mind. We're not machines. We need these rhythms. We need these blocks of times planned out. And, Jesus took naps. I mean, he even took them on a boat like my pastor. He'd just go home, take a nap. So know your natural rhythms and then just work within those.
Yeah, I think we keep coming back to the word rest. And
Yeah.
I mean, you've mentioned rest a few times. So, why is rest so central to time and rhythm when it comes to pastors and their duties?
I was literally talking about this yesterday with a friend of mine. We were in the car and we were talking about rest. And he was saying, I'm in a season of rest. And we were talking about this. So I want to mention it. Think of rest as not a reward, but a rhythm. So if you only rest when you're exhausted, that's not Sabbath, that's survival. God didn't rest because he was tired. He rested to model completeness. Pastors need to realize that rest is spiritual. It's the weekly reminder that church belongs to Jesus, not to us. So I can rest because Jesus has this. He's got it. So when I truly rest, I'm reminded that I'm not the savior. And that's actually freeing. So ironically, I would look at it this way. When you slow down, you actually lead better because you're not leading from depletion. You're leading from overflow.
Man, I love it. Gosh. Rick, you've said before that systems protect the Spirit's flow.
Yeah. Yeah.
How do systems or tools help pastors maintain healthy rhythms?
Yeah, I love that phrase because it's true. Systems don't stifle the spirit. I believe they protect it. They take the guesswork and the chaos out of ministry so you can focus on people instead of processes. For example, I used to spend hours every week trying to keep my team and volunteers aligned. I'm literally, as the senior pastor and doing everything else, I'm writing training materials, I'm sending updates, I'm planning meetings, I'm creating volunteer handbooks. It was constant. Now, if I would have had like something like ChurchHub AI, it would have been a game changer. I could have created the content faster and easier and even offloaded the creation of a lot of this stuff to volunteers. I could have generated correspondence, built the training that I needed to build, create the curriculum that I needed to build for our small groups and whatnot, all while staying in a natural rhythm that amplifies ministry or the ministry that God has entrusted me. So when someone has systems in place, your week flows with peace instead of panic. So you're no longer reacting, you're responding. And that's when you start to feel the Spirit lead again, not being led by stress.
So then what's the connection between rhythm and calling?
Okay.
And why does it matter for the long haul?
Because your rhythm is what sustains your calling. So you can have a deep calling from God, but if you don't have sustainable rhythms, you won't last. You won't. I've seen incredible pastors. I'm thinking of one right now. Nobody knows him. His name's Brian, like literally Brian, with an amazing anointing, just ran out of gas. His passion didn't fade. His pace did him in. So we need to remember that, yes, our calling is divine, but our humanity is limited. Rhythm is what allows our calling and our humanity to coexist. So when you lead from margin, you lead with joy. Your family feels it. Your team feels it. Your congregation definitely feels it. Healthy rhythm equals healthy ministry.
Like that. And so for the pastor listening today who's running on empty or close, what's one small step that he can take this week to start building healthier rhythms?
Yeah. I have a funny story I'm going to say after this if I could. Is real quick. First, though, to answer your question, I would say start with one small thing that fills you up and one thing you can release. Just one. I didn't say 3. I didn't say 5. I didn't say 10. Just one. And then protect that one thing that fills you up. And, what fills you up? Maybe it's your morning prayer walk. Maybe it's coffee with your spouse or a tech-free Sabbath. But whatever it is, that one thing, put it in your calendar and treat it like a sacred appointment because it is. Then release what drains you. Okay, so what drains you? Maybe it's the weekly newsletter, okay, or the team updates or the training outlines you keep rewriting every month. Let a volunteer help. Or better yet, this is a plug again, ChurchHub AI. Let it create those materials for you. So when you take that first small step of protecting one thing and releasing another, you begin to breathe again. And that's where you're going to find freedom. Freedom is going to start there. And the funny story is that I was talking to this person and they were really stressed. And I said, what can I do to help you? And they were like, there's nothing you could do. I'm like, there's something I can do. Give me something I could take off your plate. Like, I have to do it. And I'm like, okay, well, if you think of it, just let me know. And so I'm sitting here thinking, okay, they're just stressed, right? They have to do it all because it's going to get done the right way in the time that they want. Literally 15 minutes later, they came back and went, okay, there's one thing to do. Well, what is it? And then they told me, and I'm like, got it done. And literally went and did it. And I came back and they were just like, thank you so much. That literally that little bit took, 200,000 of the 1 million pounds off my shoulders. And it allowed me to recalibrate a little bit. So one thing is a big deal. So let's not, overestimate that.
Man, it's so good. I think we all have those things in our lives that we don't want to give up, but we really need to. And so
Yeah.
it really is about living from rhythm. And
That's
so
it.
healthy pastors are going to lead healthy churches and ministry is going to be even better. Rick, I appreciate that. For the audience, if today's episode resonated with you, check out ChurchHub AI. It's designed specifically to help pastors create margin, and it handles stuff like correspondence, training. And if you're enjoying this series, we're calling the Freedom Framework mini-series. We're going to be talking about what it means to multiply leadership by developing others, to delegate, and to disciple the way that we need to disciple. So don't forget to sign up for the Rising Tide monthly newsletter, and make sure you join us next time. So until then, Rick, thanks a lot, brother. We'll see you.
Sounds good, my friend. We'll see you.
All right.